Hi everyone, my name's Katherine Woodfine. I'm the author of the Sinclair's Mysteries and the Taylor and Rose Secret Agent series. Today I'm going to share a little bit of this book, which is Taylor and Rose Secret Agents, Spies in St. Petersburg. In this story, it's 1911 and we join Lil, who is a young detective and secret agent, as she goes undercover on an important mission for the government's mysterious Secret Service Bureau. Lillian Rose had quite a lot of unusual talents. She could perform a perfect double pirouette, sing various amusing comic songs while accompanying herself on the piano, and recite screeds of Shakespeare from memory. She was also not a bad burglar, when occasion required it, and in her line of work it quite often did. It had taken her just seconds to slip unnoticed out of Sir Edwin Grenville's study and into the darkened room opposite. Inside, she stood behind the door, peering through a crack as Rupert came out into the hall, looking all around him to see where she had got to, and then hurried off towards the ballroom. She didn't have to wait very long before the others followed him. As soon as they had all gone, Lil opened the door and slipped soundlessly across the hall. A moment later she was back in the now empty study. The mahogany cabinet was open, and she was expertly twirling the dial of the safe with her white-gloved fingertips. Really, poor old Rupert had made it far too easy for her. He hadn't even bothered to hide the combination. Inside the safe, she found the leather folder stamped with the familiar symbol of the twisting gold dragon. She'd recognised it at once. After all, she'd seen a Caselli painting kept inside one like it before once, in circumstances she was not likely to forget. She grasped it and pulled it out, and then, at last, the precious painting was in her hands. Her skin prickled with the excitement and strangeness of it. She'd been hunting for the red dragon for a long time. It was hard to believe that the painting, which was supposed to have been destroyed centuries ago when a British ship was set upon by pirates, was really here in this house in West London, and she had it at last. But she knew there was no time to hang about feeling pleased with herself. Quickly, she closed the safe and then the cabinet door. No sense in making it completely obvious that a burglary had taken place. Silent in her satin slippers, she went back out into the long hallway. But before she could take another step, she realised that someone was approaching. Not Rupert, but an older man with white hair and a bristling moustache, talking in a low voice to his companion, a middle-aged man in evening dress. Lil knew that the man with the white hair was Sir Edwin himself. There was no time for her to get away, but Lil had done this kind of thing far too many times to panic. By the time Sir Edwin and his friend reached the study door, they saw nothing but a young lady examining her reflection in the looking glass, her fluffy ostrich feather fan cast down on a polished table at her side. She turned as if startled and bowed her head politely, her cheeks pink, as if she was embarrassed to have been caught preening before the mirror. Sir Edwin gave her an indulgent smile and said, "Good evening," before disappearing with his friend into the study. The second the door had closed behind them, Lil lifted the fan, revealing beneath it the painting in its folder. Really, you never knew when a fan was going to come in handy, she reflected, as she swiftly picked up the folder and darted away down the hall. She'd already planned her route out of the house, and now she went swiftly through the green baize door that led to the servants' quarters, knowing quite well that none of the grand party guests would follow her there. With the painting tucked under her arm, she went lightly down the stairs, past a busy kitchen full of steam and rattling saucepans where cook was yelling at someone about oysters, past the butler's pantry, past a confused-looking boot boy, and then out of the servants' entrance and into the yard. She'd stashed an old carpet bag among some bushes in the garden. Under cover of the shrubbery, she retrieved it, and a moment later the white evening gown was hidden beneath an ordinary brown coat, and the red roses by a plain brown felt hat. The painting was tucked inside the carpet bag, carefully cushioned by her fluffy fan. Now she was no debutante, but an ordinary girl, perhaps a housemaid on her night off, walking briskly, but in no special hurry, down the street towards Park Lane, where she could catch an omnibus. Somewhere behind her, in the yard of Sir Edwin's mansion, she heard the sound of running footsteps. A voice yelled out. Electric torches were flashed into the darkness of the garden. So they already knew the painting was gone. That was rather interesting. Had Rupert cottoned on and raised the alarm, or had Sir Edwin opened his safe and noticed his painting was missing? Just the same, she forced herself to stroll on towards the bus stop without speeding up. She didn't even flinch when a motor car came roaring out of Sir Edwin's driveway, rushing past her at top speed. She knew that hurrying would only make her look suspicious, and besides, there was not the smallest chance that Sir Edwin, or Rupert, or any of the party guests would make a connection between the elegant young lady in white and the ordinary girl in the brown coat, waiting for the omnibus with the shabby carpet bag at her side. The omnibus rumbled up and Lil hopped aboard. "Good evening," she said cheerfully to the conductor, casting a last glimpse over her shoulder at the bright golden lights of Sir Edwin's mansion before the omnibus carried her and the dragon painting safely away into the London night. 12 hours later, she was walking over the cobbles towards the headquarters of the Secret Service Bureau. I hope you've enjoyed my reading from Spies in St. Petersburg. For more information about the Taylor & Rose series and my other books, you can visit my website, which is katherinewoodfine.co.uk.